Hello everyone, my name is Brennan and welcome to my tutorial on how to make a ring audio visualizer in Blender. First of all, I'm going to show you how we're going to do that and what exactly we will be doing. Here's an example right here. That's basically what we're going to be doing. I call this a ring audio visualizer because, as you can see, the rings are coming from the center of this ring right here. And this tutorial, by the way, was requested by Zack Abrams. He wanted me to make a tutorial on kind of this type of thing here, like rings coming from the center of another ring, or just rings coming from the center, coming from somewhere, like this, and then slowly going out. So we're going to be making today. It's not going to be exactly the same as this, but it's going to be similar. I'm very sure it should be. I hope so, anyway. Alright, so let's get started by adding a circle first of all. There's a circle. Let's rotate it on the x-axis. 90 degrees. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's add some shape keys. Let's add 3 of them, the basis, and let's do 2 more for now. And we will go into edit mode and duplicate this ring and scale it out a little bit. And now what we want to do is select the first key, the shape key, and this will be the first shape key. This will be on the first shape key. We will scale this one up. Let's make sure we did this right. Okay, so that's the first one. This is the second one. Okay, so the first one is scaled like that, and the second one. Okay, so it's affecting the second one also. So we might want to start over and add a new shape key for the new one. So this will be for the first one. This one we will select, press A on the keyboard to select the whole mesh and scale it out. Let's go about that big. That's good. Now when we move this value all the way up, it will move this circle out as well. We'll move the circle out to where we put it in edit mode. It's a pretty cool way to animate vertices. You can change this mesh, this object, and as you move the value up, it will distort the object. It'll move the object to the place, to the position or scale, or however you edit it. Each vertice, it will move everything into place from just moving this value, and of course editing each vertice however you want. So anyway, let's go back to what we were doing. Let's go back into edit mode, and we will move this all the way forward. Okay, never mind, let's move it back. We will go ahead and let's delete this. Let me see. Okay, what we need to do is delete, first duplicate. Let's make 7 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, let's select the first one, add a key to the first one, and scale it out. Then we will add a key to a second key and scale out the second one. And now add another one. Select the next one, which is the third circle. Let's add another one. Select the 4th circle. Make sure that's the 4th circle. Okay, this is the 4th one, scaling it out. Make sure it's a good size. 5th ring. And what we're doing here is we are just scaling out each one. We're going to animate each shape key for each circle, and we're actually going to bake the sound to F curves. So we're going to do the same thing we've done in my previous Blender Audio Visualizer tutorials. Okay, so let's go ahead and check to make sure these are all working. Looks like each of them are working. 5, 6. Oh wait, that was 5, 6. Wait a minute. Okay, I only did 6. Or is it the 6th one? No, that's the 7th. That's weird. Okay. This is the 7th one. This should be the 7th one. 6th one should be this one right here. Okay, never mind, I'm wrong. This is 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6. Okay, so I should delete this. And this is the 6th one. Now let's duplicate the 6th one and scale it out a little bit. And now let's add another one. And we will move this one out just the same as all of the others. Okay, so now we have scaled all of them, and if we move it out, okay, so they're all working, looks like. Yeah, they're all working. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to create a particle system. That's what we used for this, that's what I used for my animation. I used 2 particle systems. One for the floating kind of particles that you saw in the video, and if you saw the video at all, and one particle system for the rings, because these rings will be made up of particle systems instead of being just rings like this, which they actually wouldn't show up if you rendered it right now. Okay, never mind, I have the video in right here. Might as well just show you right here. This is what it will look like. We're going to be using halos to create this effect right here. So let's delete the video. Let's go back to default view, and since we're here, let's go to front view, and let's press Ctrl-Alt-0 on the keyboard to place our camera right here in front of these rings. And now we will start changing our particle system. First of all, we will make the first particle system let's just call it the static, or let's just call this the ring particles. And let's name the second one floating particles. Okay, so let's start with the ring particles. We need them to have a lifetime of 100. We want them to live longer, so they stay longer in the animation. And as you can see, when you start to play the animation, they just drop out of here, out of this one vertice. And that's because they don't really have any faces. If they do, then this is considered their face, I guess. What we want is vertices for both of these. So let's select vertices. Now it should emit from all the vertices like this, and you can tell that's the ring particles. So this will be, let's name this actually floating ring particles. Oops, ting, floating, ting. Okay, floating ring particles is what I want. There we go. No, not 2 ends. Okay. All right. Let's go back to our ring particles. Sorry about that. All right, vertices. We selected verts. It's going to be emitting from the vertices. It's going to start at 1. Let's just change it to 250. It'll end at 250, frame 250, all the way down here. We want to keep going throughout the whole animation. We can leave the normal as it is and everything else pretty much. This is the ring particles, so these will be the ones floating. What we really need to change is, well, we need to change the render and display tabs. We need to change, this will be material 1, and we're going to be working with the material in a little bit. we can leave emitter checked, and halo we're going to use. So let's go ahead and go into field weights is what we need to work with. We need to change these settings to make the particles float and not just drop like they are right now. We need them to float, so we need to set this something lower, like 0.1. That looks good, it's starting to float, but they're still dropping, so let's just change it to 0, and it should be working great. So now you can see they are floating. So, and we can also just change the velocity, the normal actually. We might want to change it because we want this to move, these circles to move and leave trails of particles behind. So that's why we are going to change the normal to 0. If you set it to 1, that will push, it forces them to basically explode or fly out from the center or from their vertices where they are emitting from, because we have it set to emit from vertices. So let's change this back to 0. Now they will just slowly emit, and I can just show you an example of what it will do when these move. As you can see, if they move out, it will leave them behind and they will sit in place. We might want to turn down, or actually turn up I think I actually did this animation facing downward. So let's go ahead and select both the circles, or this circle, and the camera. Let's rotate it on the x-axis 90 degrees so that the camera is facing down. Now the particles, okay, they're not floating, so we need to do something like 0.1 again, and now as you can see they will drop. I think I actually had it the other way, like this, so they're coming towards the camera. I might have had it like that. Let's see. Okay, let's rotate it 180 degrees on the x-axis. Now the particles will be falling down instead of flying up. So if this moves, yes, this is the way we want it to do it. This is what we want it to do. We want the particles to come down at the camera so that they appear to be moving and not falling from a different angle. We don't want them to fall down, we want them to fall forward or towards the camera. It is falling down, but it's in a different way. It's falling down a different way. So let's change the field weight to something like 0.0. So now it won't fall as much, but they'll still move slowly. Okay, now let's go ahead and change the floating ring particles. I actually did this backwards. I was supposed to do, these are the ring particles. Let's change these, excuse me. Let's change these back to, let's just change this to 0, or I might just leave it at 0.01. And let's go ahead and set the physics to keyed. Now as you can see, it will emit all of these particles on the circle, and they won't fall or move, as you can see. So if they're animated, they'll just stay on the circles, and that's what we want. Let's change this to 2500 so we can have some more particles, and I think that's what we want. Now we can edit the floating ring particles. So what we're going to do is set this to vertices. Let's do what we do with the other one. Go into field weights, change gravity to 0.01. Now they'll go flying out. So we want to change the normal to 0. So now if you scale it, they'll do what they're supposed to do. Alright, we are done with the particles. Now we need to edit the materials. So let's go into Material tab, and let's create 2 new materials. Or we can actually just create one Yeah, let's just create one. Let's go into Halo. This will be the material for these particles coming from the circles. So let's go ahead and change. We want the size to be pretty small. Let's render this and see how it looks. Okay, that's looking okay. Let's go ahead and change the background color to black. And we need, let's turn rings on. And let's turn up the add to about 0.650. Okay, that's looking okay. I'm going to change my color to something bluish. That's looking okay as well. I need this to be, the size needs to be smaller. It's probably too small. Yes, it is. So let's do 0.05. Okay, that looks okay. Let's render this like that. That looks okay. Let me see if I change the alpha. Let me change the rings color. There we go. We want the color of the rings to be, we can change it to a different color if you want something purple, or let's see, something like that. That looks okay. Alright, so now we have our material pretty much set up. Now let's get into the animating of the rings. Okay, so what we're going to do is animate each of the values, each value on each key, and on each shape key, which animates each ring. And we'll start by placing a keyframe in this value at the first keyframe, and then we'll go and animate each shape key about 5 frames apart, maybe 10 frames apart. Let's start doing that. Okay. Let's go to frame 1. Let's select the first key, shape key. Let's press I while your mouse is over the value input. Let's press I on the keyboard. Now drop down this value right here. Let's click key, bake sound to F curves, and select your music. You can edit the frequency. For this tutorial, I think I'm just going to leave it at 1 million, or I'll just leave it at the highest number. Bake sound to F curves, and now you should see it moves. It moves out. And it leaves particles behind as well. And let's start by going to frame 5. Let's start the next ring. Let's go to frame 5, select the next key, press I on your key. Well, actually, it'd be better if we go to 10. I forgot about that, sorry. It would be a lot better if we go to frame 10. So let's go ahead and go to select key 2, press I while your mouse is over the value input. Let's press I on the keyboard, select value key 2, key, bake sound to F curves, select your music, bake sound to F curves, and now, as you can see, they move one after the other. Of course, they're still in view of the camera, but you can fix that by actually by animating, or not animating, but by moving these rings in while you have the key selected of the right. You have to select the right one. Make sure you have the right one selected, the right ring selected. You can scale it out like this, even bigger if you want, so that it won't be seen in the camera view. Okay, so let's go to this third key. Let's set that. Make sure you move this to frame 20 now. Press I on the keyboard while you have your mouse in the value input. Make sure of that. Now, select key 3, key, bake sound F curves, and there we go. We baked 3 of them. Now you can see they each move one after the other. And I can load in this music so that you can hear it as well. You probably want to hear that. Okay, never mind. I don't have it here. Oh, I selected movie. Duh. Okay, here's the music. Sorry about that. There we go. 3 rings moving out. And let's set this one as well. Oops, we need to go to frame 30. I'm sorry about that. Frame 30. Press I on the keyboard. Make sure you have it selected. Okay. Select value key 4. Now key bake sound to F curves. Select your music. Bake sound to F curves. There's the 4th one. Let's say they move to music. Even after they've moved past the camera. Okay. Now let's go to key 5 and let's go to frame 30. Let's press I on the keyboard. Wait, let's make sure. Where did we set the first one? I think we did 20 and then 30. Did we do 30? Okay, so we can check by doing this. 0, then 10, 1 starts, 21 starts, 31 starts, now 40. We need to start this one at 40. At 30. Or is it 40? I confuse myself. 30. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 50. From what it looks like, we'll just start it at 50, the next one, 5. We'll just go to 60 on 6 and 70 on 7. Okay, bake sound F curves. Let's do that. Bake it. Now 60, let's do 6. Let's animate this. Select 6. Key, bake sound F curves. Now there might be another way that you can do this, but I'm not exactly sure how that is. I know that you can, more than likely you can do this in scripting, but I do not know how to do that. So this is the only way around it, around having to do a Python script that I know of. But so there you go. You might want to move it actually closer. Let's see if we can move this closer. Might be able to go in. Let's see where we set the keyframes. Go to 0. Doesn't look like it because we baked the sound F curves. Should actually be able to move this. It doesn't look like it, so that's pretty much how you do it. And I hope that's what you wanted. I hope that is what you wanted me to do for this tutorial, or how I know it's not exactly the way that Zack Abrams, that you wanted to animate, or how you wanted it to look. So I'm sorry about that if it's not exactly the way you wanted it to look, or the way it's animated or everything. But this is the closest thing I could think of how to make it. I can still look for new ways, but this is still a pretty interesting idea for a audio visualizer. Thank you for recommending or requesting that tutorial, because I have learned a lot, and I do on every tutorial. So thank you guys for watching, and just subscribe. See you next time.